Alright guys, so in this episode we are quickly going to create a game flow to make this work. So I have my block script over here. I'll just move it inside of the script folder and then I'll create a new one inside of the script folder again. This is going to be my game manager. Now if you've been around on this channel for a while, you know what I like to do with that. I like to have one script that pretty much just controls everything and that persists through scenes. So that is what we're going to be creating super fast. And let's get right into it. So I'm going to start with a public static game manager, that I'll call instance. It's going to be a property and I'm going to be setting it as a setGet. Now in a private void awake, I will go ahead and just say the instance is now equal to this. And also we'll do a don't destroy all node, this.gameObject. Alright. Having this out of the way, we have our base that is going to persist through all the scenes, but however, we don't have it anywhere right now. It's not in any scenes. And if I was to put it inside a game scene, then assume that we go to the menu, then we come back to the game scene. That would mean we'd have two of those. We'd have two game manager, then we go back to the menu, and then back in the game scene, three game managers. It's a little bit too much, and it's going to be entering conflict with a lot of things. So here is the new plan. We're going to be hitting Control N on the keyboard to create a new scene, and we'll call this one the famous preloader. Now this preloader is going to have nothing in it, so delete everything except this one game object that we're going to create, a empty game object called the game manager. I'll be moving it at the origin of the world, and I'll also put the game manager script right on top of him. This way it exists by itself. And, well, it's in a scene called the preloader. Now, I will take that scene, put it inside of the scene folder, and we're going to hit Control N again. So we're going to create a new scene, and this is going to be the famous menu scene. And you probably got where I'm going at right now. So we have the preloader here. This is where we actually start our game. It has the game manager in it. And then as soon as we're done initializing everything, in this case we don't really have to initialize anything, but we're just, we implement a game flow that would work for a bigger game too. So as soon as we're done initializing everything, we start our game right there. That's the first visual we see. That's the first time we see a camera. So we enter the menu scene, and then from the menu, you can go to the game, then you can come back to the menu. There's no way to go back to the preloader. So there's never going to be two instances of game manager. That's pretty much what we're looking for here. So, having this done, let's reopen up the game manager. We're going to be including Unity Engine, scene management. And inside of the scene management, well, pretty much we included the Unity Engine scene management so we can change scene. Now, I'll be putting that inside of a public field. So, public function. Public function change scene, and in parameter we'll just send a scene name. So it's going to be a string, and we're going to be able to call this from pretty much anywhere. Now whenever we do a change scene, we're simply going to say scene manager dot load scene, and we're loading scene name. Now this way it is going to load a scene from pretty much anywhere you are. So right here we have the await, we set instance to this, we do a don't destroy all node, and then once we're done with everything, once we're done loading the content of the game, so you have some preloading stuff to do such as create data from text files, then you do it in here. Load stuff. And then once you're done, you're going to go ahead and just do a change scene. You're going to head over to the menu scene. Now, just make sure it is written the same exact way as your scene name. In my case, notice the capital M, and inside of my scene folder, there's a capital M as well. So if we just give this a try right now, it's probably gonna crash. As you can tell, we do get a problem here. It says the scene has not been added to the build settings, so you're gonna hit Control B on the keyboard. Or actually, you're not gonna do that. Well, you could, but if you want to go through the menu, you have to go under File, Build Setting, Control Shift B, and then once you're here, you're going to be taking all of these scenes and just dropping them in here. Now make sure the preloader is at the very top. That's the only thing that really matters, because that's the first one that needs to boot. Alright, so from there you press on play, Now, as you can tell, we are right now, if you look at the very top here, we are in the menu scene. It has the main camera, the directional light, but also the game manager. The thing that pretty much just persists through the preloader. And from there we can go ahead and just do a little bit of menu. Alright, so let's jump right into it. We're going to right click, create a new canvas. And this is our canvas right here. I will go and do the scaling right away. So the scaling for this one is going to be scale with screen size. We're going to be doing 800 in X and 1280 in Y, which is pretty much just a portrait resolution. This one I use. That's the one I use for testing. And also, I also like to put the match height, so we're always matching the height of the phone. That being done, we can just leave it like that. And I'm gonna go ahead and just expand canvas because I want to see the lines. If you don't expand canvas, you don't get to actually see the debug lines in here. Now right click on there. You can be adding a background image. Say that is going to be my background image. Just stretch on all axes. It is going to be a, I don't know, some kind of yellowish color. No, I mean bluish. Maybe something like that. That would be the background. On top of it, you can add a button. Of course, I'm doing super fast because everybody's gonna have a different UI depending on what exactly you're trying to achieve. Or if you're just making this for fun and just for practice, of course, you can just use this. Middle button in the middle, this is going to be the play button. Aren't we having a good time here? I don't know why I wrote button. Let me just scale that back up. And we just have some kind of way to go inside of our game. Alright, I actually feel like just leaving it right there and not really caring about the rest too much. You can do your own UI, of course. We're going to be just putting a text for the title of the game. Increasing the size of this, and this is going to be the AR, Augmented Reality. I hope I'm typing that right. Shooter. Alright, something of the sort. Maybe increasing the height a little bit, or the width. Like that. And here we go. Alright. This is a very, very nice menu. At least we got some flow going on there. As far as the art goes, of course, I'm trusting you guys to have your own art and do your own thing here. But that's pretty much all I can come up with in the amount of time I have today. I still have a lot of tower video to record. Alright, so we've got the button over here. We need to actually add a function to that. Now here is where I don't really like my flow. The flow I'm making with this is we can't really just go here, get our button, and just tell our button, okay, so you're going to be linked to the function of the game manager that says change scene, because we're using now a public static instance and it's not part of this scene and we can't really connect to that object just yet. So we have to go through something else. We have to go through, in this case, a menu manager. So I will create a menu manager as a C# script, create a new object, and of course just call it menu manager. Now if we had a really complex menu, that would be perfect. I mean, having two scripts doesn't really matter, but since our game is really small, I kinda feel uneasy about this, but it's still a very good way to go about this problem. And here is the menu manager. Now as far as the button goes, we're going to do a public void function that we'll call on play button click, or something smaller than that, doesn't really matter. And once we click on that play button, we're going to say game manager dot instance change scene, and we're going straight into the game scene. Alright, let's give it a try from the preloader now. We start from here, we click on the play button, and nothing seems to happen because we haven't linked our button. My bad. Back in the menu now. Click on the play button, go down here in the on list, on the on click. You're going to click on the plus sign, then drag and drop your menu manager object. Really important, that is the object, not the script. the actual object that has the script on it. And then you can choose the function under Menu Manager, on play button click, go back here, preloader, press on play, and here you go. You're now in the game. Took a little while. Here's my couch again and my curtains. Really nice setup in my room right now. But that's basically our game. And that's our tracking object, if I can get it to work super fast. Hey, that's our gun. Alright, since I don't really have both of my hands right now, I can't shoot. But normally, the thing that is actually holding my camera would be my cell phone. And with my thumb, I'd be able to just tap on it and get the shooting mechanic going out. Of course, I can't do that right now because there's no tapping on my webcam, but you get the idea. We're going to build later on. In this episode, we're going to be building on the phone as well, so we can actually have a look at this in the game on the real phone. Alright, I got a little bit distracted. Where exactly were we at? Oh, yeah, of course, the mechanic. We're going to be starting to create that game flow we've talked about for so long. Once we're inside of the game scene, I think we're going to be using the game manager. Right now, we don't have any kind of like big object that takes care of this scene, so we're just going to be using the game manager. So we're going to be double clicking on that to open it up in any text editor you have. And from here, we are going to create a function that is called a callback from Unity. Let's go ahead and just use the onLevelWasLoaded, which sends in parameter a int, if I believe. I'm simply going to open up Google for a second and I'll just quickly check it out. So onLevelWasLoaded, here it is. As you can tell, it is a callback from Unity. You gotta be writing it this exact same way, and it returns an int that I don't think I'll be using, unfortunately, but I still have to put it in here. It's basically just a level index. Now, this is called every time you're loading up a new scene, which means it's going to be called once the menu is loaded. It's going to be called once the preloader is finished loading, then the menu is finished loading, and then the game is finished loading. I only want to do something, and you'll see what I want to do in a moment, but I only want to have an action when the game scene is loaded. So I'll be using the scene management namespace to actually figure out which scene it is I'm actually using right now. So let's go ahead and start writing down a if statement. If the scene manager dot get active scene and then dot name is equal to game, that means the current scene right now that we're in is equal to game. That pretty much just means we're in the game scene. And you know that this is only being called once you load a scene, so it's not going to enter that if statement for the preloader or for the menu. Now at this point, we gotta figure out how many block there is. So the way I think we're gonna be looking for blocks is we're gonna be grabbing them by tags. So we are quickly going to go back in the game and just modify our objects a little bit. And something I figured out as well from the very last episode is that I did not have any collider on that, so if I did press on play, they would actually fall down. Something I've did, and that you should do right now if you haven't done it, is actually add a collider to your floor. So I've added a box collider, and also a collider to every single block you have, so it has now a block collider on every single one of these. And I didn't do it for the other prefab, so we'll quickly go ahead and just do that. So this single block here, from the level 1 prefab, we're adding a box collider, and these 3 blocks over here, they're also getting a box collider. Alright, that being done, we're going to move on to the next step. Now all of these blocks, they need something more. I'm going to be choosing all of them, and we now need a tag for them. So I'll be adding a new tag. This is going to be the block tag, and let me just choose them all of them blocks again, and then go under tag and tag them as block. Now this way, when a game starts, we're gonna be we're gonna be doing that too. Let me just quickly go back in my code. We're gonna be instantiating a level prefab, and then we have to find out how many block there is on the current game, in the current scene. So over here, I'll just skip this part for now, and then over here, what we said is something of the sort is we're gonna say go GameObject.find GameObjects with tags, and this is going to return you an array. So we're going to be using that in a moment. It is a function. We're going to be looking for all the GameObjects that have the block tag on it, and we're going to be saving it somewhere. So let's just do GameObject array all blocks. Actually, I'll just call it A for now, because I'm about to reuse it for another thing really quickly. And then we're going to store them inside of a list, as weird as it might seem. Up here, what I've did a little earlier before is add the using system.collection.generic in order to use lists. And that's exactly what we are going to be using here, a list. So let's declare a new list. Actually, you know what? Let's actually declare it up here in the field section. We're going to be using a public list of game object that we're going to call all blocks, and this list is going to be instantiated over here. So all blocks is equal to, say, a new list of type game object, and then we'll do all block add range, and we're going to add A, just like this. And now this way we actually have all the blocks that were inside of this array, they're now transferred inside of this list. And the reason I'm actually using a list is simply because I'm lazy and I want to use the remove function from the list, and I can easily pick out the block that actually fell. Alright, so that could actually do the job. We're also going to create another function down here, now that I think about it. Public void remove block, which is going to take in parameter a game object block. And as soon as this happens, what I'll be doing is I'll do all block. Well, if all blocks dot find, and then we'll use a predicate, say b dot game object is equal to block. I don't think I have to do the b actually. Let me just remove that. So if b is equal to block, then if there is something that matches this condition, then we're going to be doing all blocks dot remove, and we're removing the block. Okay, and then inside of a loop function, and then we'll do something else in that same function. We'll do if all blocks dot length, or I mean dot count, is equal to 0. That means we removed all the blocks from the map and we pretty much win. So this is where we do a public void victory. If I can type. And you put it up here. Alright, well, I got ahead of myself a little bit and I went a little bit too fast. So let's go back to actually creating a level prefab. So I'll be creating some private field up here. Let's start with a private int current level, which is going to equal to 0 at first, and let's also create a public array of game object that is going to be the level prefabs. Again, if I can type. So once we're loading a scene and it is the game scene, we're going to do a instantiate. We're going to instantiate the level prefab at the index current level, assuming there is one. So we'll just do a check here. If current level is smaller than level prefab dot count or length, then we do this. Else we are going to do something else. Or that means there is no more level and we can just go back to the actual menu scene. Something of the sort. So if current level is smaller than level prefab.length, we go back to the menu. Alright. Now, if that's not the case, if there's still level to do, then instantiate level prefab at current index. And that's pretty much all we need on this line. Put the semicolon and we're now ready to go, I believe. And if we do manage to win, what we're going to say is we're going to say current level plus plus, and we're going to do a change scene. We're going to go to the game scene again. Even though we're already in the game scene, we're just going to reload it, but this time having the current level plus plus here. Alright, let's actually give this a try. I know we've done a lot of logic and we haven't tested out pretty much anything, but I have a feeling it's going to work great actually. So I'll go back inside of the preloader And under the game manager, there is now this all block thing and also the level prefab. The all block, we don't need to actually care about it. In fact, I should be putting that on private right away. Let's put that on private so we don't actually mess around with that in the inspector. Now, as far as the level prefab goes, it's going to be an array of 3 for now. And we're going to be using this guy, put him right there, level 1, level 2, and level 3. Alright, so let's actually test out the spawning mechanic. So at this point, we should be spawning the level 1, but as you can tell, we're also spawning level 3, which is a little bit weird, but we'll find out why in a moment. So this one is tagged block, that works fine, and they're all tagged block. Now, I'm just wondering, I'm curious why it did not spawn level 2 and why it spawned level 3. So we'll just have to find that out, and it's probably something really simple. And I just realized why. That's because I just left it right here. So we're going to be removing level 3 from here, and that's our game scene when there's nothing going on. Alright, so now everything should be clean and ready to actually start doing the blocks and checking whether or not this block is falling. So I'm not quite sure how we're going to be tackling this. However, I do have a small idea. I think we're going to be using the position, and we'll just check every, say, second if the position has a certain delta. So let's go ahead and just say private vector3 start position. Now start position is going to be put inside of the start actually. So over here, private void start, and then we'll do start position is equal to transform dot position. Transform with a small t, of course. Then inside of the update, we are going to check every frame, or every second at least. So private float last check, and we'll do if time.time minus last check is bigger than 1, which means after every second, if we do a last check is equal to time.time, after every 1 second, we're going to be checking, okay, is that pillar, is that block moved past a certain point? And if it has, we'll just tell the game, manager. So let's also have a private bool going on, is falling or has fallen is equal to false by default. And let's say something like if transform.position, actually, you know what, we'll do a vector3. If vector3 dot distance, square distance, because that's less expensive, square magnitude in between the position of us right now, the block, and also the start position, if that's bigger than 1, then we are going to say has fallen is equal to true. And at the same time, we'll call the game manager and be like, game manager, game manager.instance remove block, and we're going to be removing this game object. So this dot game object. And technically everything should be working fine here. And let's pretty much just stop doing that check when if fallen is equal to true. So if has fallen, we'll just simply do a return statement here. This way we don't have to update this every frame. Just a little way to optimize the code, I guess. Alright, so no real method takes in square magnitude. So what we'll do is transform the position minus the start position. That is what I meant to do in the first place. Alright. So if it moves by 1 meter, that pretty much means our block has fallen. 1 meter might be a little bit too big, but right now I'm using the square magnitude, so yeah, 1 meter might be a little bit too big actually. Let's use the normal magnitude. So just say magnitude, and we'll say is bigger than 0.5. That sounds accurate. Let's give this a try and actually check out what it gives us inside of the game. So augmented reality shooter, and then we just zoom in on that. Here is the wonderful gun. If I can get it to work. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit hard. Alright, let's try this again. If we get to detect the gun, that'd be great. I feel like I have to hold this in my hand sometime for it to work. I have really bad tracking with this thingy. And then we just go ahead and try to shoot. And Of course, it's shooting upside down right now, so let's try not to mess this up. There we go, actually pointing towards the right direction. And we're gonna go towards this. This is harder than it looks like, especially when I'm holding the webcam with my left hand. Oh, there we go. And then as you can tell, at this point, it just tried to load the other level. But it was a little bit too messy because I think we're reloading the camera and it's just not good. So I think what we'll do instead is whenever we need to load a new level, we won't change the scene. We won't have to reload that camera, else it's going to be a little bit too laggy for the game to handle this. And here we are, just shooting ourselves. Good times. Alright, so let's go ahead and just modify that piece of code. Let's go back inside of the game manager, and whenever we do win, we are going to say, we're going to be calling this function again. We should be calling this function again. So on level was load, we're going to do something else. Private void create level. And we're going to take everything that goes in here, well, not everything, all of this, and we'll put it inside the create level. Take the create level and replace this part. Alright. Now this way we can call this on its own without having to go through a instantiation of the scene. So under victory right here, we'll do create level. But we're also going to clean up the actual mess we've put there for a little, for a moment. So what we're going to be doing is inside of victory, we're going to be taking all the game objects on the scene that have the tag block. So let's copy over this line, copy, and then for every single object in that array, so for int I is equal to 0 as I is smaller than a dot length, I plus plus, then we'll do a destroy, and we'll do a at the index I, just like this. This way we get rid of the whole array, and then, well, pretty much all the blocks are gone. And then we create some new blocks. This should actually work. Again, I'll just give it a try. Hopefully I don't have to mess around that long again. Alright, so here's my gun. And it's upside down because good times. And we should now be good to go. Oops. As you can tell, we pretty much just deleted that. Now 0.5 sounds a little bit not enough. And it feels like not everything is working well with the second level. So we'll have to find a way to actually fix our second level. How exactly should we go about this? Alright, so it seems like we're actually spawning the second level too fast, which is totally normal. We are spawning it too fast, and the reason I'm saying this is because the bullets that we sent on the last level, they have the time to interact with the actual new level. So we're gonna have to actually clean up everything as soon as we complete one level. So under the game manager, we do a destroy on all the game objects that have the type block on it, which is fine, but we also going to be doing that for the bullets and give it a small frame where it can actually process all that information. Or I think we can do a destroy immediate, that would also work. But that being said, we still need to destroy the bullets, and that is a really important thing to do. Now I'm simply going to try with the destroy immediate. I think it is going to work. And if it is, then we can simply just also include the bullets in that, maybe put a tag on them. That's my mug over here, nice mugs. And it is going to, it almost worked. No, it did work actually. In the last one, they don't seem to have any colliders in them for some reason. So I quickly go back, and on my prefab, take all of these, put a box collider on it. So it did work, and I'm also going to remove the bullets. So the bullets you see over here, we simply have to go on the prefab itself. And I should really put that on D&D, my bad about the Skype episode. We're going to be adding a new tag here, so the tag is going to be bullet. And under bullet, we are, well, I mean, yeah, the bullet prefab now becomes tagged as a bullet. And this way we can go back in our code and actually do the same exact thing we did here. So I'm just going to be putting that on a single line. take all of these, take all of these, duplicate. This is going to be the game object array B, find object with tag bullet, and then we destroy immediate B here instead, B here. That should be good. So we're getting rid of both the blocks and also the bullets. Plus, we don't really have to do the cleanup if we manage to win at one point. Alright, let's have a look at this now. Yeah, that's a little bit complicated, but we've got it right away. And it feels like this thing, it just pops out of nowhere and just do this little dance here. So our level is almost completed by itself, which kind of sucks. I think that's because of the way I put my prefab. So let's just spread our fire, and there we go. We completed the game. Now we do get a no reference exception when we complete the game, and that's something we're not really allowed to have. So, okay. It's because we do a destroy immediate, and I guess the code is trying to access it. So that's a little bit messed up. We're gonna go where it says create level, and then we'd have to wait a frame before we actually change the scene. So what I feel like doing is creating a simple duct tape field here called private bool is game completed is equal to false by default. And here we'll do a is game completed is equal to true. Now in a update that we probably don't have just yet. Alright, so we'll create it here, private void update, and we'll do a is game completed. So if the game is completed, if is game completed, we'll do a change scene, go back to the menu, or spawn some kind of recap, or spawn, you know, some information. And also when we do a on level was loaded, is game is completed is back to false. Assuming that it is the game scene. So right here. Well, in fact, it doesn't have to be the game scene. It could be any scene. Alright, let's just leave it out there. Anyway, we can finally try this out. Hopefully we don't have the same exact error, the no reference. So here's my card, here's the gun. And I'm shooting towards the right direction. That's great. We're gonna add a new shader to the bullets so we can actually see them properly. Right now they're not lit. I mean, they're lit with the lights in the scene, and we don't have any lights, so that's kind of messed up. So let's quickly spread that, and we almost got it. So we got it. We didn't get any errors. We waited the good frame, and that pretty much works now. So back on our bullet, we are going to create a new material. Let's right click on material, create new. This is going to be the bullet material. The only thing I know is that it's going to use the unlit shader for color, and then I'll just go ahead and just put any color I want. So white actually sounds perfect in this case. Back in my game scene, fixing one of the last bug we have, I'm just going to put that here, and I'm going to raise this block a little bit higher because as you've seen when we spawn it, it just acts a little bit crazy because it's inside of the other block. So if we just give it a slight thing like that, but not too much, because if it moves too much, it's going to be assumed that, you know, it has fallen. And we end up with something like this. So I'll quickly go ahead and just set up the webcam in some kind of way where you can see me playing this game on my phone, and I will be right back. Alright, so let's quickly start build. My webcam is now unable to work here because it's actually working within the the OBS, which is my recording software, and here is my kind of scene. Over here I have my tracker, and I'm just going to pull my phone as soon as this works. So you'll see it right away as the game is booting. It should only take a moment. So here it is, that's my phone right there. Now obviously the brightness is a little bit hard to adjust, but that is right here what you don't see right now because of the camera. That's the menu scene, the really boring one button menu scene. I click on it, on the play button, it loads the AR camera. And here we are. So that's my little setup over here, that's my scene. If I click, as you can tell, I'm shooting a bullet. And that's how we're gonna work. Now let's go ahead and just pull our tracker here, put it, that's really hard to do, put it here, and as you can tell my gun just showed, so now I can assume some kind of position where I'm like this, and I just move like that, and I go like shooting these. Oh, it's actually shooting on the wrong direction. Yeah, so do get a tracker that is not messed up like mine, and then I can go like this, just swap, move only my left hand, and I can play this game. Hey guys, this is few days after I made a tutorial on AR, the fourth one. Unfortunately, I don't have the rest of the episode because it's pretty much recorded under a weird format. For some reason, it just got corrupted, and I'm not able to just show you the rest. But basically, here's the finished project, where we just clean up a little bit of the rest of the thing. So the game just plays the same as it played, but I've changed the color a little bit, and I've also fixed the bug where if well, first, you can actually complete the game like this, and when it's completed, you can actually play it again, and just hit the play again button, and that's going to work now. Stuff like that. It's like really simple stuff, and I don't really feel like going like through the whole code because I don't really remember it, but you know, just applying some duct tape at places that require some fixes. So what I decided to do instead is just talk about what other project you could be making with AR. Now, this is just really to get familiar with the technology. Of course, you want to be making a bigger scale project. And some ideas that we've seen on the web a little bit is just look up augmented reality. There's this one that is pretty much just basketball, which is cool. You could be making this. Or you could also be making some kind of, you take your board game and you just turn them into reality. So you're playing Monopoly, then you can actually have some houses on the place, and you track the Monopoly board. Stuff like that. Every board game could be tracked, basically, because it's also like a really complex picture. So you could go ahead and just do that. Some other app that really got popular when AR came out is this one. So basically, it just shows you where you are on the map and just give you all the good information that you could want. As you can tell, there's the horizon, elevation, all that kind of stuff, your position on the GPS. And you see that through your device, but then you could actually change that and have some Google glasses on, so you'd always know like your real world position. That could be cool. And of course, without even mentioning it, there's the Pokemon Go app, which is really popular nowadays. The AR part is really just, it's not so good in Pokemon Go. It's just, like when you're trying to catch a Pokemon. Let me show you. So it goes like this. It pretty much just takes your camera and try to position the Pokemon somewhere in the world, but as you can tell, it's really choppy, but that's just how it is, and it's really hard to have anything working that well. So this is pretty much how I'm going to end this series. Sorry about that, couldn't give you the ending of it, couldn't give you the bug fix, basically, because at the point we were, all we had to do really is just fix the bugs. But at least we introduced ourselves to technology, and we're ready to actually create some more complex game. So guys, thanks for watching, thanks a lot for tuning in. I always appreciate that quite a lot, and always appreciate your like, of course, your support, your question, your comments. You can leave them all in the description below, and all the links are always in the description if you'd like to know more. Other than that, guys, thanks a lot for watching again, and I will see you next time.